Hey, what's going on, everybody? Andrew here, back for another day of office hours. It is Monday, October 7th of 2024. Looking ahead here, we have a NFL showdown here between the Saints and the Chiefs, and then we do have a two-game MLB playoff slate as well today, so it should be a fun day of DFS. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS-related questions. Get your questions in one of three ways here. First off, send us an email, support@sabersim.com. Second, post it live in the YouTube chat. Third way, post it in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord and want to get access to that channel, there's a link in the description of this video. You also get access to our similar channels, individual sport channels, and you get access to the rest of the SaberSim team. So can't say enough good things about the Discord. But with that said, we do the show Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, and then we do this show on Saturdays, typically 12:30 p.m. Eastern. No show this last Saturday. I was out of town, but we will have a show for this upcoming Saturday. So we'll be back at it this weekend. But it is Monday, so we do have to announce the winners for our weekly Max Challenge here. That is our season-long giveaway that we're doing. Ultimately, going to give away 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. So super, super fun. Plenty of people have been participating to this point in the season. And we have to announce our winners for 1 highest score of the week and 2 random entrants. So after going on a 3-week stretch of winners, we did not have a winner this week, but our top finisher was Shooter McGavin, 89, 12th place, 229.48 points. Congratulations to Shooter. They're going to get a custom SaberSim hoodie and then an entry into our end of the season free roll. And then what I've done here is, or what I'm going to do is grab all these names of everybody who participated this week. It's like we got 273 people, drop their names in our trusty wheel of names here. Going to click shuffle 2 times. And then we're going to do a spin to see who wins free entry into next week's mini max. So winner will be getting free tickets. And winner is TT8607. So let's get this down here. Our support team will reach out to all of the winners and get you your prizes. So appreciate you guys continuing to participate each and every week. And we will be back next Monday to announce our next winners. So with that said, let's get SaberSim up here and jump into some questions. All right. Getting SaberSim up now. And we're going to be using this showdown slate for our demos for today. So 2 questions that came in Discord. We'll start with those first and then jump over to the live YouTube chat. Reminder, we do have our build review show going live at 5 p.m. Eastern. We have a lot of people signed up today, so going to be very, very busy. Some of those people might end up bleeding into tomorrow. Just kind of depends how things are going there. So just a heads up. But first question of the day. If you have rules set for late swap, say a minimum projection sum, is it going off the original SaberSim projections, or is it taking into account what has happened to that point? Good question. So it's going to be going off of whatever is in the my projection column. So for any projection rules, like it's not using live projections, it's not using live actuals. So if you are, and the reason we go off of the my projection specifically is in case you're aggregating projections, in case you're, combining different things, right? You have different columns with different sets you've uploaded, whatever, and you're averaging them or weighted average or whatever you're doing. You're making manual adjustments, right? Tweaking stuff up and down. We're always going to be basing any of those rules off of the my projection and my own column, right? So if you are adjusting projections, this is why I always say, like, when you're doing geomean, like rules and filters, to standardize the ownership in the my own, because it's using that column to calculate the total, right? So when, you come in here and you see, hey, Jared Wiley projected for 0.99 ownership, that, could mess it up potentially, right? Or like you go over to captain and like there's, 0.01 captain or like something like that. It's better to just standardize these to 1. That way the geomean calculates a little bit better and you only gain something if they come in where they were actually projected, right? So my projection columns are going to be your best friends, and that'll be what's used in your rule. All right, next question. If I want to get into smaller field tournaments, example, the $1 contest with 118 entries, how would I set up the contest sims for that, since there doesn't appear to be any for those contests? If you could use tonight's slate to help answer, that would be great. So what you would want to do is you would want to upload your CSV file here, right? So you come in here, you upload a file. And then if you have a contest in your set that is not in our default list here, then it's going to show up, the type is going to show up as custom. And then there's going to be basically like an exclamation point saying like, hey, there is no contest default for this contest in question, right? And you're going to have to create a custom contest sim. So what you would do is, say you uploaded it, right? You're just going to go to the contest. This is what I recommend doing. Right click on the contest, click add custom contest sim, and then you just come in here and you fill out all the data. So leave payout structure as custom. I would put in, 118 here to the contest size. I would calculate percent to first. This is going to be the first place prize divided by the total prize pool. And so if this is, $20 to first, and, let's say contest size is 100, well, then that would be 20% to first, right? And then let's say there's 100 people in the contest. Percent entries paid is the last paid position divided by the number of entries. So if there are 28 positions paid, then the percent of entries paid is 28%, 28 divided by 100. User entries is however many lineups you have in the contest. If it's a single entry, you put 1, right? If it's 3, you put 3, whatever that is. So you're going to have to set up custom contest sims, and then you're going to have to select the correct set of field lineups. So if these are, the $1, 118, I would come in here and probably say, it's going to be low stakes single entry, right? So that is how I would be setting up custom contest sims for all of those tournaments. And then what you can do is, if you're playing multiple of them, I think it's fine to just use one contest sim for all of them. They're basically going to be the same. So you don't need to have, if you're playing 10 of them, you don't need to play 10 different custom contest sims. You could just have the one, and then you might even be able to build them all together, right? And almost just do like a portfolio across all 10 and treat them kind of as one, since you're using one contest sim to do that. So that's just a good way to diversify across a set of contests, especially when their payout structures are identical, the contest size is identical, the stakes are identical. I think you can do that. All right. Good stuff there. Those were our first couple questions of the day. Before we move into a build demo, let me just make sure we don't have any additional questions here. All right. Nothing in the YouTube chat so far. Nothing else in Discord. So let's do a build demo, right? We're going to build lineups for tonight's Kansas City, New Orleans game here. So what I would do, right? Come in here, make a couple projection adjustments. If you don't have any big takes here, right, just make the 2 required to unlock the build lineups button. If you're on Ultimate or one of the old pro plans, I would increase lineups to 5,000 here. I think that, if you have the time and you could build 5,000, don't just build the default of 2,000. It defaults to 2 just because of the builder it can be a little bit harder to get to 5,000. So you might just have to wait a little bit longer. But if you have the time, that up front, set it to 5,000, increase that. I personally like to lower minimum salary to 40,000 here, allow the builder to play a little bit wonkier salary lineups if it so sees fit, right? If there are game sims that back up such a lineup, I don't simply want to disregard it just because the salary is low. It honestly probably helps the uniqueness as well, right? Which is obviously really, really important in showdown contests. So, you load up SaberSim, make your adjustments, tweak anything you like, build lineups, right? In the meantime, I'm going to go set up a contest sim. And let's say I'm playing the $3.20 max, right? So come in here. So one thing on this, because it's $3 contest, it defaults to low stakes 20 max. Well, the prize pool is so big, 400K, that all players in the lobby have access to it. So I like to change it to flagship 20 max instead for the field lineups there. So that's just like one small change I'll make. All right, jumping back to our build. Lineups are complete. So I'm going to run the contest sim. And while that runs, I'm going to move a couple columns around. All right, just waiting for the contest sim to finish here. So we already have an average projection aggregate metric set up here. That's great. I want to set up a couple more. So I like to do average salary. And then I also like to do average contest sim ROI. Great. That looks good. Make sure my sorting metric is right. All right, 20 lineups. We got our metrics set up. And we're about ready to start rocking and rolling here, right? So what I like to do is, and you can do this a couple different ways, is to apply a geomean filter of some sort, right? So what I've been doing is just coming in here. If you want to do the math, great. If you don't want to do the math, you could just go and make one up. So first create a custom metric, right? Go to your sorting metrics, go down to add metric, create one that says geomean, and then you do my own geomean value. The lineup metrics are on ultimate. If you don't have this, you could also do a rule, right? So you can come in here and you say rule type aggregate, my own geomean less, no more than X, right? And you would have to do the math in order to do that. So what that would look like is estimating dupes, saying, hey, I don't want to play any lineup. I don't know, duped more than 40 times, because when it's 40 and the prize pool is 400, I win like 10 grand. And that means something to me, right? So kind of subjective how you get to that number, but I would do 140 divided by 158,000 to the power of 1 divided by 6. 6 is the number of players in the lineup. 25.1, right? So you could do this, and then I would use that number, 25.1, for my rule, or you could do it in the post build if you have access to the custom metrics. Something else I've been dabbling with is, you know what, maybe I just don't want to do the math, and I just want to say, show me lineups with geomean less than X, and you know, maybe I just start with like 30, right? And I just put in a number. So I have 2,000 lineups in my pool, right? So maybe I just want to trash like 10 to 20% of my lineups, and that way I don't have to do any math, right? Okay. So then I just start lowering geomean until I get to like 200 to 400 lineups in the trash. So we're down to 26. We're at 168. 24 gets us to like 20% in the trash, right? So I would probably stop at this point. 24 is even lower than the 25 that we calculated. But this is something else I've been considering doing here, especially like if I'm in a time crunch. So now that we've done this part, that's great. But here's the thing, right? If I come in here and I turn off my geomean filter. So with my geomean filter off, our average projection is 82.3. With the geomean filter on, is this the right one? Yeah. Our average projection is 79.3. So our average projection comes down 3 points applying this filter. What I have been thinking about is like, how do you balance this? How do you counterbalance it? Well, in my opinion, you got to come in here and then add a projection filter too, right? So then, okay, I've done duplication, but then I want to make sure I'm not just playing a bunch of low projected lineups, because we've seen in contest flashback that ends up mattering. So then I go and do the opposite. Now I'm saying show lineups with projected score greater than X, right? Maybe I start with 75. And then I'm going to turn off this other one first. Okay, the 75 gets us to 190 in the trash. That's right about 200. So now we went from 82.3 to 79.3 And then after applying the projection filter, now we're back up to 80.8. So think about it like this. We start at 82.3. The geo mean takes us down 3 projected points. The projection filter brings us back up 1.5 projected points. So we have effectively countered the effect that the geo mean had, and we've kind of found a sweet spot, right? That's kind of what I'm trying to say here, is like we found the middle point, and we did it by accounting for duplication, but also accounting for projected score. We end up right in this sweet spot where we don't give up too much projection, but we do give up some in an effort to get more unique. So I think this is actually perfect. This is exactly the effect that I'm trying to balance, right? I'm trying to balance uniqueness with, win probability. If you want to use average projection as like a, proxy to that, fine. I mean, it seems to matter in the sim ROIs. So this is perfect so far. So then now that I'm good with my metrics, now I just want to make sure that my leverage matches my risk tolerance, right? Am I okay with the stands that I'm taking, right? And now I want to come in here and spot check leverage. So first thing I notice is that we have 45% exposure to Rashid Shaheed at the captain. He's projected for about 5% ownership. He's in about 5% of our pool lineups. Now, some people might look at this and be like, cool, I'm good with it. Let's roll with it. Let's go. Me personally, it feels a little high, and I would do something to lower this, right? The first thing I would try is to increase min uniques from 1 to 2 and let the builder handle it, right? Well, this brings Shaheed down to like 35 from 45. I would probably be more open to this. Now, the other thing I'm checking when I make that unique change is, how does this affect my ROI and my metrics, right? So my average projection actually went up 0.5 point, and my ROI only went down like 1%. So I'm cool with that, right? So I'm going from min uniques of 1 to 2 brings Shaheed down 10%. My average projection is still good. My ROI is still good. This is a net positive change for me. Now, if you make this change, you're like, you know what, 35% Shaheed is still too much for me. Well, then I would go and I would mess around with changing his max exposure. You might need to turn uniques back to 1, but some combination of uniques, max exposures here is going to be the right answer for managing your risk if you choose to do so at all. And then I would do the same thing in the flex tab, right? Come into the flex, see if I'm okay with the stands I'm taking. Notice we have some bigger leverages here, right? Like we saw with Shaheed, but playing, 65% of a 30% owned player to me is different than playing 40% of a 5% owned player. So, the ownership and the pool exposure matter to me, not just like, oh, hey, we manage 30% leverage in the captain, but not 35% leverage in the flex. It's like, well, that also comes down to, the player and how many lineups are going to have them, et cetera here, right? So that's the difference to me. So I don't have a big problem with what I'm seeing here in the flex, and I would be fine leaving it. So all in all, I would be about ready to submit these lineups. I think they're good. I'm happy with them. I've managed my risk. I've accounted for duplication. I've accounted for projection. All the things that we see in flashback every single day on the build review show that tend to matter are good here, right? So then I would go and I would save these lineups. So if you guys are looking for some tips and tricks for Showdown, that's what I would be doing and am, trying to do each time I'm playing a Showdown contest. All right. No more questions here in the YouTube chat or the Discord. Reminder, build a reshow, 40 minutes, 5 p.m. Eastern, and we have plenty of people to go over today. So appreciate you guys tuning in. I will be right back here tomorrow for office hours. And also, as a reminder, thank you guys for participating in the Max Challenge. Our team will reach out to the winners for this week. So until the build a reshow, take care. Good luck. Thanks. Bye.